Hello and welcome, I'm Jessica and this is the first Momentum newsletter post. Today we're going to start with a topic that's very confusing for a lot of sole traders and small businesses when they first start out, and that is, how do you start your website? We're just going to quickly cover the main things that you need to consider, your options, and explain to you how that could affect your decisions. We're going to try and keep it short and sweet, so let's delve in there. So how do you start a website, and most importantly, how do you start one that fits with your business? Let's have a look at your options. As you are probably already aware, the professional web designer is obviously an option. Template website, if you don't know what this means, I mean like a package where you get a set number of pages and you just copy in some text and just choose from a design, and it can be very quick and very low cost. And there's the middle ground, or as I like to call it, the pick and mix of website creation, where you can employ a professional or pay for premium aspects of your website, but you can control your website. The benefit to this is lowering your ongoing costs, but also to be able to use a website as a tool to empower your business rather than just being like an online business card. So there are massive differences in the costs, practical implications, and the results that you get with any of these options, which is why it's important to consider what matters for your business. The designer options. The positives, as you are probably already aware, is that you can have confidence that they are competent. You don't need to figure out how to do something. You can just ask them and they should know depending upon their skill set. You can hand it over to them, less hassle for you, particularly when you've got enough things to be doing with your own business. They are possibly already involved in your branding and stationery, so it can be easy for them to transition to doing your website and just replicate what they already understand about you and your business and your branding. However, this depends on what kind of a web designer you have, and it's an important question to ask when you meet a web designer. There are some that are very strong with web design, graphic design, and very artistic, but not necessarily very good at the technical side. There are some people who are very tech savvy, but not necessarily as artistic. There are some who are very good at social media marketing and business and the psychology of it, and may not have strengths in other areas, or any combination of those. So if you do meet somebody who's a web designer, ask what their skills are, and consider that if they're not so strong in an area that's important to you and your business, that you may need to get somebody else involved for those areas. So just consider that. The negatives are that there may be runaway costs. This is why it's very important to develop a very detailed brief. However, there may be things that both you and your designer didn't consider initially, so and there's nothing much that you can do about that, I'm afraid, but it's just one of those things that unfortunately happens. Ongoing maintenance costs. This is something that is very important to ask your designer about, particularly as a sole trader or as a small business. It's one of the highest ongoing costs that you could have in your business. So when you're developing your website, ask your designer if it will be a platform that you can control yourself if you choose to later on. An example of this is WordPress, which is what I always use, and the reason why is because, and not everybody chooses to make their own changes, but if they want to, they can do, and this really reduces the costs. Also, which is something that's very important, is that if you have somebody else controlling your website, you don't learn how to use it yourself, and you're dependent upon them to take initiative to see opportunities to use your website and to team that up with your business. And they will never understand your website in the same way, and your business the same way that you can do. So if you're not in control of your own website, you're not in the same position to use it as a tool to empower your business. That's the reason why I think it's important to control it yourself to a certain degree. A template website can be created in a matter of hours. I think it's a great thing when you're just developing a business and you need to have something up there, because a website is better than no website. It's usually low cost as well, and it's easy for you to control without going through a third party, telling them what you want, saying, well, no, actually, I want this, or maybe a bit different, can you move that to the right, or something like that, which can be quite annoying. Negatives. They can look as cheap as they are. A website is your shop front 24/7, and if your website doesn't look professional, then I'm sorry, you don't look professional. And which it's fine to begin with, to just say, look, this is just what I've got for information to begin with, but ongoing, you are not going to compete as well against somebody else who possibly has exactly the same amount of skills. They could not even be as skilled as you are, but they may look better because their website looks more professional, which is a shame for you and for the people that you could help as well. So often they will also meet limitations and you have to start again. This won't happen until further down the line, when suddenly you realise, okay, I can't do those things, and then often you have to start right from scratch. So I would say it's usually a temporary measure. I think it's brilliant to start up. It's like an online business card, but unfortunately an online business card will not develop traffic. It won't bring people back over and over again unless they keep forgetting your phone number, which is worrying. It won't actually be a business driving force. It will just be an online business card. So how do you actually decide what would be the best thing for you and for your business? Ask yourself, will this be an e-commerce website? How much will I depend upon people finding my website to drive sales? How much do I expect to get from this website? Am I a service professional? You should know that. What are the competition doing? How much time do I have to devote to setup and maintenance? How much money can I invest short term and long term? So if you want an e-commerce website, you don't have much time, you aren't comfortable with computers, then get a designer. But you need to ask what control you have ongoing. I think we've already explained a bit of why this is necessary, because as a sole trader, a small business, this can really build up the cost. If you have an e-commerce website, then it's very technical, so it's important to have someone who at the very least you can rely on if anything goes wrong, especially because money is being exchanged. If you don't have much time, which is common obviously when you're starting your own business, then you don't need that extra hassle. So it may be better to just have a designer initially, even if later on you want to invest more time in learning how to use your own website and controlling it yourself. If you aren't comfortable with computers, then it may be a bit much to learn how to develop your own website, even though the software is actually quite straightforward and simple. I understand there are different levels. However, just because you're not comfortable with computers enough to create it, ongoing, it could be it's a repeatable process, so it could be simple enough that you feel comfortable with it. I think making changes to control your website is as simple as making an order online or sending an email or something like that. So just because you're not comfortable enough with computers to create your website doesn't mean that you can't control it yourself ongoing. If you are a service professional, you're heavily dependent upon your website for driving your business, and you need to differentiate yourself from your competition. You need to differentiate yourself from your competition. You need to have continuous work done, so proceed with caution. It is important here that you do have control ongoing, because like I said, with an online business card you won't drive sales and you're not going to develop that repeat traffic that you may require as a service professional, or if you are dependent upon your website for driving your business. So if you could get a web designer to create it, but if you don't have control ongoing, that could create a very big cost for your business. The other thing is that as long as they don't understand your business as well as you do, you can't be sure that they'll have the initiative to use that website as the tool that you need to help drive your business and differentiate yourself from the competition. So it's more important that you do have control over it ongoing. So to-do time, this is where we try to actually do something with all this information that we've been talking about. So first thing is, consider your priorities and expectations. What do you expect to get from your website, and what is the most important thing to you? Is there a sweet spot option that sits well with your finances, the amount of time you have, your technical expertise? What are you most drawn towards? Can you do further research on your options? Perhaps you've got a great referral from someone who's had a website done that you think is great and they've had a good experience. Perhaps you have business cards that you've collected and you're ready to contact those web designers, see what their skills are, see what their services are, and delve further into that. Perhaps you can look into your other options with template designs, see what different prices are there. If you just want to get a website up there done quickly, then have a look into what the options are there. Perhaps you are thinking about developing your own website and, well, creating more than developing, because that sounds a lot more technical, it is something that we do here, is teach people how to create and maintain their own website. So if that is something that interests you, then just take a look around. Do you know of any websites you'd like to emulate? Perhaps if you find a website within your industry or outside of your industry and you think that's it, that's exactly what I'd like to do, then it helps you to know what is necessary, and that helps you to either ask a designer how much would this take to do, or even to see if there's another service that you would be able to create the same results from without having to go to a designer. So that can really help. Last but not least, sign up for the Momentum newsletter. If the information in here has been valuable or interesting to you and you'd like to know more, then every Monday I'm sending out a newsletter video that helps sole traders and small businesses to develop their own online presence. This isn't just about websites, it's about social media, it's about developing a successful online presence. So if you do have anything to say about this, then please share it, comment, email me on info@fluidwebworks.co.uk, and until next time, have a great week.